The galaxy's core had always been the center of power, wealth, and knowledge. Among the many species that thrived there, humans were once considered just another intelligent race. But humans were different. They were adaptable, resourceful, and driven by curiosity. Their minds worked in ways other species could not understand, and their innovations often outpaced even the most advanced civilizations. They built starships faster, discovered new energy sources, and invented tools that made life easier for all. For a while, this worked to their advantage. Humans were welcomed in the core. They traded, formed alliances, and even helped some alien civilizations solve problems that had challenged them for centuries. But not everyone was happy. The older, more established species in the core began to feel threatened. If humans kept growing stronger, they could challenge the balance of power. Whispers spread through the halls of the core's council chambers. "Humans are too clever," said one elder. "We cannot let them rise above us," said another. Then came the day of betrayal. The core species united against humans, not with open war, but with a political strike. They used rules, laws, and treaties humans did not know existed. With little warning, humans were declared unwelcome in the core. Their fleets were barred from entering core systems. Their trade agreements were canceled. Most painful of all, they were exiled. Forced to leave the places they had helped build, humans were cast out into the uncharted reaches of the galaxy. It was chaos. Ships crowded in space lanes, scrambling to escape the core. Families packed into transports, leaving behind homes, schools, and familiar stars. Cities that once hummed with life were suddenly empty. On the largest human capital, the Council of Unity met one last time. Leaders spoke to their people not with anger but with courage. "We are not beaten," the council president said. "We are being tested. The core may cast us aside, but humanity will survive. We will find a new home, and we will rise stronger than ever." The first step of exile was harsh. Humans were sent to a barren planet at the edge of the galaxy, a place no other core species wanted. It had no oceans, almost no breathable atmosphere, and violent storms that could rip through the strongest buildings in minutes. It was called Exilium, and it was meant to break them. Many feared they would not survive. But humans did what they always did. They adapted. From the first moments on Exilium, humans worked together. Engineers modified ships into temporary shelters. Scientists tested the soil, the air, and the strange plants that grew in patches across the planet. Farmers experimented with hydroponics and soil enrichment. Every citizen, young and old, had a role. Even children learned quickly, helping to carry supplies, monitor weather patterns, and assist in small inventions. The storms were the first real test. Winds could reach thousands of kilometers per hour, tearing apart structures, and lightning struck the ground in unpredictable patterns. Yet humans discovered a way to survive. They built energy shields around their habitats and reinforced shelters with layers of durable alloys. They dug underground tunnels to protect entire communities. Every failure taught them something new, and every success gave them hope. Food was another challenge. Exilium's soil was poor, and alien predators roamed freely. Humans experimented with fast-growing plants, nutrient-rich fungi, and even algae cultivated in large tanks. Hunters and scouts mapped the dangerous areas, noting which predators were aggressive and which were harmless. Humans learned to track, trap, and defend themselves. Soon, small gardens grew into large farms, and food scarcity became a problem of the past. It was not just survival that mattered. Humans began to explore the strange ruins scattered across Exilium. These ruins were unlike anything they had seen before. Massive stone structures covered in symbols rose out of the barren plains. Some were broken, others perfectly preserved. Scientists studied the technology left behind. Energy conduits, long dormant machinery, and strange crystals hinted at a civilization far older and more advanced than anything in the core. Curiosity became their greatest weapon. While other species in the core relied on strength or status, humans relied on creativity. They learned to harness the power of the crystals found in the ruins, using them to power energy shields, communication networks, and even experimental propulsion systems. Children played with small energy devices that could light entire villages, while adults worked on massive projects that could change the face of Exilium forever. Despite the hardships, humans kept their spirit. They celebrated victories, no matter how small. They sang songs in their homes, told stories of the core's cities, and remembered what it meant to be human. Community gatherings became the heart of society. Even in exile, humans were never truly alone. They had each other, and that was enough to survive. As the years passed, Exilium slowly transformed. What was once a barren, hostile world became a network of thriving human settlements. Energy shields glowed above cities at night, protecting them from storms. Farms stretched across valleys, and clean water flowed through canals. Humans had not only survived, they had created life where none should have been possible, but survival was only the beginning. Humans began to look outward beyond Exilium. Scouts traveled to nearby systems, mapping planets and resources. They discovered asteroids rich in minerals, abandoned space stations, and habitable worlds waiting to be colonized. The ruins on Exilium had hinted at advanced technology, and humans believed there might be more hidden across the galaxy. Every discovery fueled their hope. Every new planet, every strange relic reminded them that exile was not the end. It was an opportunity. And humans, who had once been cast aside, began to imagine a future where they were no longer victims. They could rise again, stronger and wiser than before. Yet humans never forgot the core. The memories of betrayal lingered. They knew the core would never forgive them, and many believed the core would one day try to stop them again. But humans were no longer the same people who had relied on the core's protection. They had faced storms, predators, famine, and isolation, and survived. They had learned the greatest lesson: intelligence, courage, and cooperation could overcome even the harshest challenges. As the first generations of exiled humans grew, stories of the core became legends. Children were told about the cities they had left behind, the alien species that had feared them, and the betrayal that had forced them to survive on a harsh world. These stories were not meant to teach hatred, but resilience. They reminded every human that they could overcome any obstacle, no matter how impossible it seemed. By the time decades had passed, humans were no longer just survivors. They were builders, explorers, and innovators. Their colonies had grown into cities that rivaled those in the core. Their technology had advanced beyond anything the core had expected from a banished species. And in the darkest nights under the glowing energy shields of Exilium, humans began to dream again. Not of survival, but of a destiny that stretched across the stars. Exile had not broken them. It had refined them. Every challenge, every storm, every struggle had made them stronger, smarter, and more united. Humans had learned that even in the most hostile corners of the galaxy, they could thrive. And as the sun rose over the plains of Exilium, reflecting off the strange crystal spires, one thing was clear: humanity's story was far from over. In fact, it was only just beginning. Years passed on Exilium, and humanity began to flourish. The planet that had once been a barren wasteland now buzzed with activity. Energy shields protected the growing cities from violent storms, while farms and water networks sustained the population. But humans did not stop at survival. Their minds, always restless, turned toward innovation and exploration. The first breakthrough came from the ancient ruins scattered across Exilium. Scientists, engineers, and curious minds studied the strange crystals embedded in the old structures. They discovered that these crystals could store and channel massive amounts of energy. This led to the creation of advanced energy shields, capable of protecting entire cities from Exilium's violent weather. It also powered new communication networks, connecting distant settlements in real time. Children in the schools of Exilium marveled at the glowing crystals. They learned not just to survive, but to understand and control the energy around them. Families told stories of the first human engineers who had unlocked the secrets of the ruins, turning the planet from a prison into a home. Every discovery, no matter how small, became a symbol of hope. Meanwhile, humans expanded beyond Exilium. Scout ships were launched to explore nearby star systems. These small fleets were built from salvaged core technology and human ingenuity. Each ship carried scientists, engineers, and explorers, all tasked with discovering new worlds and resources. They mapped asteroids rich in minerals, surveyed abandoned space stations, and tested planets for habitability. Exploration brought unexpected allies. Humans encountered alien species that had long been ignored or oppressed by the core. These species were wary at first, but humans' curiosity and fairness won their trust. Trade agreements were made and knowledge was shared. Some aliens taught humans new ways to cultivate food, while humans shared their technology. Slowly, humanity built a network of cooperation across the outskirts of the galaxy. The most significant discovery came when a scout ship found a hidden wormhole, previously unknown to any civilization. It was small, unstable, and dangerous, but it offered access to distant regions of the galaxy. Scientists and engineers worked tirelessly to stabilize it. After months of testing, humans successfully mapped a network of wormholes, creating shortcuts between distant star systems. This was a turning point. With these pathways, humanity could reach worlds that core species could not easily access. Back on Exilium, technology continued to advance. Humans developed faster-than-light engines, allowing exploration fleets to travel farther and faster. Energy shields were improved to withstand not only storms, but also potential threats from space. Agriculture evolved with vertical farms and automated hydroponics, ensuring no one went hungry. Every challenge faced on Exilium prepared humans for the unknown. Human settlements also became models of efficiency and creativity. Cities were designed to adapt to storms, with retractable buildings, flexible energy grids, and underground tunnels that could be sealed during extreme weather. Streets were lined with solar panels and glowing crystals that powered lighting and transport. Even entertainment evolved, with virtual theaters and simulation arenas where citizens could learn, play, and train in safety. Despite their successes, humans never forgot the core. The stories of betrayal and exile were passed down through generations, not as tales of anger, but as lessons in resilience and vigilance. They knew the core could one day notice the humans again, but by then humanity would be ready. This knowledge inspired further innovation. Humans didn't just prepare for survival, they prepared to thrive. One of the most extraordinary achievements was in medicine. Humans adapted to the harsh conditions of Exilium, developing treatments that could protect against radiation, extreme weather, and even alien pathogens. Genetic research combined with careful ethical practices allowed humans to enhance health and longevity without compromising humanity itself. Families lived longer, stronger lives, and the population grew steadily. Trade with nearby alien species also accelerated growth. Humans exchanged technology for rare minerals, biological knowledge, and strategic information. These partnerships strengthened humanity's position in the galaxy. Some alien species even joined humans in exploration, eager to see the wonders hidden in the uncharted systems. Humanity was no longer isolated. They were becoming a hub of innovation and cooperation. As the colonies expanded, humans began to realize the potential of the wormhole network. They could reach planets that were previously unreachable, rich with resources and life. Colonies were established on these worlds, carefully planned to ensure sustainability. Each new settlement became a beacon of human ingenuity, combining technology with natural resources. Humans adapted each planet to local conditions, sometimes using energy shields, other times relying on modified agriculture or protective habitats. Exploration also brought new challenges. Some worlds had dangerous weather, aggressive wildlife, or unstable landscapes. Others had remnants of ancient civilizations, filled with traps, puzzles, and unknown technologies. Humans approached these challenges with the same determination that had carried them through Exilium storms. Every obstacle was a chance to learn, to invent, and to grow stronger. By now, humans had also developed their own culture, one shaped by exile and survival. Art, music, and literature flourished. Songs celebrated courage and discovery, while paintings depicted the harsh beauty of Exilium and the alien worlds beyond. Education emphasized critical thinking, ethics, and problem-solving. Every child learned not only about science and technology, but also about the importance of cooperation, resilience, and respect for life. Humanity's influence began to extend beyond mere survival and exploration. Their technology, trade, and fairness earned them respect among neighboring species. Rumors of humans' capabilities reached core civilizations, though the core dismissed them at first. Exiled humans cannot rise from the outskirts, some said. But humans knew better. They had survived the impossible before. They could do it again. The turning point came when humans discovered a planet rich in rare elements essential for advanced energy systems. Colonization required careful planning, but humans succeeded where others might have failed. The planet became a hub for further technological development, powering new cities and ships. It was proof that exile had not limited humanity. It had given them a chance to innovate freely, without interference from the core. Generations of humans grew up with stories of survival, exploration, and discovery. They were taught that intelligence, creativity, and collaboration were more valuable than brute strength or political power. These values shaped every decision, from city planning to interstellar diplomacy. Even in distant colonies, humans maintained the same principles, creating societies that were both advanced and ethical. With each discovery and invention, humanity's confidence grew. They no longer saw themselves as exiles but as pioneers. Exilium had been the crucible that forged their skills, resilience, and vision. Now, with wormholes, new colonies, and strong alliances, humans were poised to expand their influence in ways the core had never imagined. The first contact with a wandering alien fleet demonstrated humans' strategic abilities. A core scout ship had stumbled upon one of the new human colonies. Humans did not attack immediately. Instead, they communicated, offering aid, sharing knowledge, and demonstrating technological superiority without hostility. The alien crew, impressed and cautious, reported back to their home systems. Slowly, humans' reputation began to spread, not as threats, but as leaders of innovation and fairness. By the end of this period, humans had established a network of thriving colonies, powerful fleets, and advanced technologies. Exilium, once a symbol of exile and punishment, had become the heart of humanity's outer domain. They were no longer dependent on the core for survival, nor for knowledge. Every invention, every discovery, and every new settlement proved that humans could create their own destiny, far from the galaxy's center. Yet, the greatest challenge was still ahead. While humans had grown strong, intelligent, and cooperative, the core had not forgotten them. The whispers of fear and jealousy still lingered. But humans were no longer naive. They had learned that the galaxy could be harsh, that survival required more than skill, and that power could be built not through fear but through respect and ingenuity. And so, with their fleets ready, their colonies thriving, and their spirit unbroken, humanity prepared for the next chapter. The galaxy beyond Exilium was vast and unexplored. Strange worlds awaited discovery, ancient technologies hid in forgotten corners. And far beyond the outskirts, the core still ruled, unaware that the exiles they had cast aside were quietly becoming a force to be reckoned with. Exile had given humans not only the strength to survive, but the vision to rise. They were no longer the desperate, scattered race that had fled the core. They were explorers, innovators, and pioneers. And soon their story would extend beyond survival, into influence, strategy, and ultimately the power to reshape the galaxy itself. Years had passed since humanity first settled on Exilium. The barren planet, once a cruel prison, had transformed into a network of bustling cities and thriving settlements. Humans had not only survived, they had mastered the art of adaptation, innovation, and cooperation. Their colonies in nearby star systems were growing steadily, each one a testament to human ingenuity and resilience. Humans now looked outward, beyond their immediate surroundings, toward the broader galaxy. The wormhole network they had discovered years earlier had become a lifeline. These portals allowed them to explore distant systems, rich with resources and potential allies. Scouts and explorers traveled to uncharted planets, charting worlds, studying ecosystems, and evaluating the possibilities for colonization. No challenge was too great. Every harsh climate, every alien predator, and every unstable planet became an opportunity to learn and innovate. Through careful diplomacy and fair trade, humans began forming alliances with isolated alien civilizations. Many of these species had long been ignored or oppressed by the core. Some had been trapped in harsh environments, while others had been denied the chance to develop their own technologies. Humans treated them differently. They shared knowledge, offered protection, and encouraged cooperation. In return, these species brought unique skills, resources, and perspectives to humanity's growing network. Humanity's influence began to expand quietly but steadily. News of their technological advancements, fairness in trade, and willingness to help other species spread across the outskirts of the galaxy. Reports reached the core, though at first they dismissed them. Exiled humans cannot rise to power, said one counselor. They are far from the core, scattered and weak. But humans were neither weak nor scattered. They were united, disciplined, and visionary. Human fleets grew more capable with each passing year. Ships designed for exploration doubled as mobile laboratories, research centers, and defensive platforms. They were equipped with advanced energy shields, powerful engines, and sophisticated communication systems. Unlike the core fleets, which relied on sheer numbers and intimidation, humans emphasized strategy, adaptability, and clever problem-solving. Every ship, every fleet, reflected the human ability to innovate under pressure. Meanwhile, the colonies on distant planets thrived. Each settlement was designed with careful planning, balancing sustainability with growth. Energy systems ran on crystal-based power sources discovered on Exilium, while advanced agriculture ensured that no colony ever faced hunger. Cities were built to withstand harsh climates, storms, and natural disasters, with retractable buildings, underground shelters, and resilient infrastructure. Humans were not just surviving, they were thriving in every environment they encountered. The first direct encounters with core scouts brought both tension and opportunity. One fleet, exploring a resource-rich planet near the core's outer systems, encountered an observation vessel. Humans could have engaged it in battle, but instead they chose diplomacy. The human captain communicated clearly, sharing knowledge, offering aid, and demonstrating their technological capabilities. The core scouts were impressed but cautious. They reported back, noting that humans were no longer the same naive race they had once dismissed. Humanity's strategy was subtle but effective. They did not seek to conquer. They sought influence. Through fair trade, technology sharing, and careful alliances, humans began reshaping the balance of power on the galaxy's outskirts. Alien species that had long lived in fear now looked to humans as protectors, collaborators, and leaders. Word of humans' fairness, creativity, and strategic thinking spread faster than any military conquest could achieve. Humans also invested in education and culture. Every citizen learned skills that were both practical and visionary. Young explorers were trained in diplomacy, science, and problem-solving. Engineers experimented with new technologies, while artists and storytellers captured the wonders of distant planets and the heroism of human pioneers. Humans were building not just power, but a culture of resilience, creativity, and collaboration that would carry their species far beyond the confines of Exilium. As humans expanded their influence, they faced new challenges. Some core-aligned species attempted to interfere, sending small fleets or political agents to test humanity's strength. Humans responded not with aggression but with strategy. They built defenses around key colonies, developed early warning systems, and strengthened alliances with neighboring species. Every confrontation taught humans how to anticipate threats, manage conflicts, and protect their expanding network without resorting to unnecessary violence. The first major turning point came when a human exploration team discovered an ancient structure floating in space near an uncharted system. It was a massive relic of a civilization older than any known in the core. Within it were technologies that could enhance energy generation, propulsion systems, and planetary stabilization. Humans carefully studied the structure, learning from its design without destroying it. This discovery reinforced their belief that the galaxy was full of opportunities and knowledge waiting to be unlocked. Humanity's coalition of allies also began to grow stronger. Many alien species contributed unique abilities and technologies. Some offered biological enhancements for survival in extreme environments, while others shared advanced mining techniques, communication networks, or defense systems. Humans were careful to respect each species' autonomy while integrating their contributions. Together, they formed a network that was more resilient, flexible, and innovative than any single core civilization. Humans' reputation for fairness and strategy continued to attract allies. A species that had long been oppressed by the core sought refuge among human colonies. Humans welcomed them, offering protection, education, and opportunities to contribute. Other species, inspired by humanity's leadership, joined voluntarily, bringing new skills and insights. With every alliance, humanity's influence grew not through fear, but through respect and collaboration. By this point, humans had achieved a level of technological mastery that even the core could not ignore. Faster-than-light travel, advanced energy systems, and planetary stabilization technologies allowed them to reach and thrive on worlds previously thought impossible to colonize. Every successful mission reinforced the human belief that exile had been a gift disguised as punishment. It had forced them to innovate, cooperate, and explore beyond the limits of the Corps' expectations. Despite these successes, humans remained vigilant. They knew the Corps would eventually notice their growth and attempt to interfere. Strategic councils met regularly, discussing potential Corps responses, alliance building, and defensive planning. Humans trained their fleets not just for exploration, but for potential conflict, ensuring that they could protect their colonies and allies if needed. The lessons of exile had taught them that preparedness, intelligence, and cooperation were stronger than brute force alone. The next generation of humans grew up with a sense of purpose. They were not just citizens of Exilium or nearby colonies. They were explorers, innovators, and guardians of a vision that stretched across the galaxy. Children learned about the Corps' betrayal not as a source of hatred, but as a lesson in resilience and wisdom. They were taught to value strategy, cooperation, and creativity over fear or aggression. This mindset would shape humanity's approach to diplomacy, exploration, and leadership for generations to come. A major milestone occurred when humans successfully established a chain of colonies along several strategic wormholes. These colonies served as hubs for trade, research, and exploration. Ships could move between systems quickly and safely, while resources flowed freely among allied species. Humans had created a network that rivaled the Corps' influence and scale, though it was built on collaboration rather than coercion. With the colonies thriving, humans also began experimenting with larger projects. Terraforming initiatives were launched on planets that had harsh climates, slowly turning them into habitable worlds. Energy systems powered entire cities and protected ecosystems. Research labs developed new medical technologies, agricultural methods, and propulsion systems. Each achievement strengthened humanity's position and demonstrated their capability to thrive in any environment. Through these efforts, humans learned an important lesson. Influence in the galaxy was not earned through fear or domination, but through creativity, fairness, and vision. Their reputation grew as a civilization that could solve problems, protect allies, and explore unknown worlds. Even core civilizations began to take notice, though they underestimated the depth of human strategy and ingenuity. By the end of this period, humanity had become a quiet but undeniable force on the galaxy's outskirts. They had fleets, colonies, alliances, and technologies that rivaled anything in the Corps. More importantly, they had built a culture of intelligence, cooperation, and resilience that allowed them to adapt to any challenge. Humans were no longer exiles, they were rising leaders, shaping their own destiny far from the reach of those who had cast them out. And yet, even as humanity's influence grew, they never lost sight of the lessons learned on Exilium. Every city, every colony, and every discovery carried the memory of exile. The Corps may have intended to weaken humans, but in truth, they had forged a civilization that years of careful planning, exploration, and alliance building had brought humanity to a new level of power. From the barren lands of Exilium to thriving colonies across uncharted systems, humans had grown stronger, smarter, and wiser. Yet all this growth had not gone unnoticed. The core civilizations, once confident in their dominance, were beginning to pay attention. Rumors of a united human coalition, advanced fleets, and thriving colonies spread through council chambers and political halls. The Corps' first response was subtle. Scouts and observation ships moved closer to the outskirts. They watched, took notes, and tested human reactions. But humans had expected this. Strategic monitoring systems and early warning sensors around key colonies detected every Corps vessel, giving humans ample time to respond. Humans understood that open war would be disastrous, not because they lacked power, but because diplomacy could achieve far more. The Council of Unity, now an interstellar body of human and allied representatives, met to decide their response. "The Corps underestimates us," said the fleet commander. "They believe fear will control us, but they do not understand who we have become." The first encounter with the Corps fleet came near the neutral planet of Virelia. A Corps task force, sleek and powerful, attempted to intercept a human convoy carrying resources to a distant colony. Humans responded not with immediate attack, but with strategy. They deployed decoys, shifted fleet formations, and used newly developed energy shields to protect vital vessels. The Corps fleet, expecting predictable tactics, was caught off guard by humans' unconventional methods. Human leaders combined diplomacy with demonstration of strength. Communication channels were opened mid-conflict, offering the Corps a chance to withdraw and avoid destruction. Corps commanders, realizing the humans' technological superiority and clever strategies, hesitated. They had faced many adversaries, but none who combined intelligence, ethics, and capability so effectively. This confrontation marked a turning point. Humans did not destroy the Corps fleet. They protected themselves, showcased their abilities, and offered a path for Corps members to observe and learn from them. News of this event spread quickly through the galaxy. Humans were not merely survivors. They were leaders capable of strategy, wisdom, and moral courage. Meanwhile, humans leveraged their alliances. Allied species supported human fleets, offering unique technologies, reconnaissance abilities, and specialized skills. Together, the coalition became stronger than any Corps reconnaissance mission could handle alone. The lesson was clear. Humans had transformed exile into strength and cooperation into power. The Corps tried another approach, political pressure. They attempted to negotiate treaties, demanding humans submit to Corps authority once again. But humans had learned from their past. Exilium had taught them that dependence and fear were weaknesses. The Council of Unity responded with dignity and reason, outlining their accomplishments and warning that any attempt to dominate their coalition would be met with coordinated resistance. Humanity's strategy was rooted not in aggression, but in leadership. They demonstrated that they could protect allies, develop advanced technologies, and manage vast territories. More importantly, humans showed that collaboration, fairness, and ethics could achieve more than threats or intimidation. Many alien species began openly siding with humans, leaving the Corps increasingly isolated. One of the most dramatic demonstrations of human power came with the activation of planetary stabilization technologies. On several colonies, humans successfully transformed unstable, harsh planets into habitable worlds. Massive energy grids controlled climate, shielded against storms, and supported ecosystems. Corps observers watched in awe. These were feats no single Corps species had accomplished, and yet humans achieved them with care, precision, and respect for life. Humanity also excelled in intelligence and communication. Using advanced sensors and networks, they predicted Corps fleet movements, identified potential weaknesses, and coordinated defenses without exposing their plans. The Corps, accustomed to dominance through sheer strength, found themselves outmaneuvered repeatedly. Every skirmish reinforced the truth. Humans had grown beyond exile. They had become architects of their own destiny. Corps leaders realized that direct confrontation might lead to losses they could not afford. They sent envoys to negotiate, but the humans' response was firm, yet fair. "We do not seek conflict," the human ambassador said. "We seek a future where all species can thrive without fear. You may join us in cooperation, or watch from the sidelines as we continue to rise." This balance of power, intelligence, and moral authority solidified humanity's reputation. Meanwhile, human colonies thrived economically, culturally, and scientifically. Trade networks connected multiple systems, and technology sharing strengthened alliances. Research in energy, propulsion, and medicine reached levels the Corps could not match. Even former Corps species who had once viewed humans as exiles began to admire them, recognizing that leadership required vision and ethics, not fear and domination. The final confrontation came when a Corps fleet attempted to blockade a human-controlled wormhole network. Humans deployed a combination of strategic defenses, advanced shields, and coordinated fleets with allied species. They executed maneuvers the Corps had not anticipated, splitting the fleet, isolating ships, and disabling the blockade without unnecessary destruction. The Corps had to retreat, acknowledging humanity's superior strategy and unity. In the aftermath, the galaxy began to take notice. Humans were no longer the exiles who had fled the Corps. They were a coalition of thriving colonies, innovative technology, and respected leadership. Exilium, once a symbol of punishment, now stood as the heart of a civilization that had turned adversity into triumph. The Council of Unity declared a new era. "We have survived exile," the president said. "We have learned, grown, and thrived. The core underestimated us, but we have shown that intelligence, cooperation, and morality are the true measure of power. Humanity will rise not by fear, but by leadership and example." And so, humans had confronted the core and triumphed, not through domination or aggression, but through vision, strategy, and ethical leadership. They were no longer castaways. They were rulers of a new destiny, ready to expand their influence across the galaxy. With the core humbled and humanity's strength undeniable, the next stage of human evolution began, not in conquest, but in creation. Humanity established the Outer Dominion, a coalition of planets, species, and colonies united under the principles of cooperation, innovation, and mutual respect. The first priority was stability. Human engineers developed advanced planetary management systems, ensuring that every colony had access to clean energy, safe water, and sustainable food sources. Planets once barren or hostile were transformed into thriving worlds. Cities shimmered with energy shields and crystal-powered grids, combining beauty with functionality. Human settlements became models for the galaxy, showcasing what could be achieved through intelligence, hard work, and collaboration. Education became central to human society. Every child learned about the core's betrayal not to foster hatred, but to understand resilience, strategy, and ethics. Knowledge of science, diplomacy, and leadership was combined with lessons on empathy, cooperation, and cultural respect. Humans cultivated not just strength, but wisdom. Future generations were trained to explore, innovate, and lead with both courage and conscience. Trade networks connected hundreds of planets. Humans shared technology with allied species, ensuring everyone could prosper. Rare resources were mined responsibly, and energy systems powered entire planets efficiently. Humans did not dominate through force, they led through example, demonstrating that progress and prosperity could be shared. Diplomacy became humanity's strongest tool. Former core species, once suspicious or hostile, observed human governance and were invited to join the Outer Dominion voluntarily. Many core species, inspired by humanity's fairness and ingenuity, accepted, bringing skills, knowledge, and culture to the coalition. Together, these diverse civilizations formed a new interstellar society built on respect and cooperation. Humanity's fleets expanded not for war, but for exploration and protection. Ships patrolled trade routes, responded to natural disasters, and assisted colonies with technological support. The fleets demonstrated the human principle: strength is best used to protect, not to dominate. This philosophy further strengthened alliances, as other species saw humans as reliable partners rather than conquerors. Science flourished. Researchers developed faster-than-light engines, advanced medicine, and sustainable energy systems. Terraforming technologies allowed humans to make previously uninhabitable planets livable, while energy shields protected ecosystems from natural and artificial disasters. Ancient ruins and lost civilizations discovered during exploration became sources of knowledge, advancing human technology and understanding. Culturally, humanity thrived. Art, literature, and music reflected their journey from exile to dominion. Stories of courage, resilience, and exploration inspired citizens across the galaxy. Festivals celebrated cooperation, innovation, and discovery. Humans maintained a sense of wonder, curiosity, and optimism, values that had carried them through the harshest challenges of exilium and beyond. Leadership was structured but inclusive. Decisions were made collectively, with representation from human colonies and allied species. Merit, intelligence, and dedication determined roles in governance rather than fear or tradition. This system ensured that the Outer Dominion remained fair, adaptable, and capable of responding to new challenges. Humanity's legacy spread across the galaxy. Exiles who had once been cast aside were now leaders of a civilization admired and respected by many. The lessons learned in hardship, resilience, ingenuity, and unity became the foundation of an interstellar society that could thrive for generations. The final symbol of humanity's rise came when they completed a project that had begun decades earlier: the creation of the Celestial Nexus, a network connecting all human colonies and allied worlds. The Nexus allowed instantaneous communication, coordinated defense, and shared knowledge across thousands of light years. It was a testament to human vision, determination, and cooperation. Humanity had achieved what no one had expected. From exile in the harshest corner of the galaxy, they had risen to build a dominion not of fear but of trust, respect, and innovation. Core civilizations, once the arbiters of power, had been forced to acknowledge humans as equals, leaders, and pioneers. As the sun rose over the flourishing cities of Exilium and the thriving colonies beyond, humans looked to the stars not with fear but with hope. The galaxy was vast and full of mysteries, but humans were ready. They had turned exile into opportunity, adversity into strength, and survival into dominion. And so, humanity's story continued not as castaways, but as architects of a new future, a future where intelligence, courage, and unity could shape the destiny of countless worlds. They had proven that even when cast aside, humans could rise not just to survive, but to lead, inspire, and rule with vision and wisdom.